Welcome back. Good afternoon. Uh, like, welcome to Yathakatha International Film and Literature Festival, where we are trying to bridge the gap between cinema and literature alike. In our first edition, we received films from 26 countries, which is a very big number for a first edition. And thanks to the vision of Charu ma'am and Mamta ma'am, we are here making this small dream a reality. Okay. So today right now we'll have a panel discussion on the topic writing culture. We have some renowned authors with us right now for this panel discussion, and I introduce you to them. First is T. Satish. He is a published author and writer based in Chennai. He is a postgraduate in management from Indian Institute of Management, Chennai, Calcutta, sorry. And he's currently working as an AVP in Signity Technologies. His debut novel, Life in the Sunshine, was ranked #1 bestseller on Amazon in sports and cricket category. Satish has also published short stories such as Looking for Bond, Am I Free, and Hang in There on Amazon KDP and Juggernaut Digital. He is also a cricket column writer in a large Australian sports platform called The Road. Okay. Thanks for joining us, Satish. Next up is Shruti. Shruti is a chartered accountant by profession, currently pursuing a career in the corporate. She is author of the mythology fiction Mahabharati, 5 women who held court before the war. She writes blogs on female characters from mythology. She is a disciple of the renowned Bharatanatyam exponent, Dr. Suchita Chapekar. Writer and dancer by passion, connoisseur of French and Sanskrit, she is a mother of a 4-year-old kid. Thank you for joining us, Shruti. Next up is Priyanka. She is an educator by profession and author by passion. Currently, she is working as an assistant teacher at Carmel High School. She has received the Most Influential Indian Awards 2021 in the category of Young Prolific Writers. Global Education Forum announced her as the best debut author of 2021. She strongly believes if one woman speaks for herself, she speaks for all the women out there. Thanks for joining us. I would like to invite all the panelists on stage.
We would really like to thank you for coming and joining us for this panel discussions. So our today's topic is writing culture. So first of all, I would like to start by what do you think writing culture is according to you, or does writing culture exist, or do you use any writing culture? If there is, if you could explain us more about this term.
So, as the name suggests, anything that is culture always evolves, right? So, you let something grow on its own and then try to make sense of that, right? And give a form to that. You don't say an Indian culture and then now everybody starts behaving like an Indian culture. Right? So, normally you see how people are behaving, how they live their lives, and then finally you, after a point in time, you have a look at it and then take a view as, okay, collectively this is how these people live. So then it becomes something kind of what is the Indian culture. Similarly, writing as well. Many writers have written their own thoughts in various ways, and then somebody takes a look at it at an abstract level and sees, okay, this I can group it as say ethnographic because it talks about a certain set of people, about a profession or a particular country, and then I look at the other and say, okay, a lot of these two are about an author or a poet who talks about their inner feelings, and then you classify that as second group. And third category could be somebody who is very abstract and thinks about, writes about very futuristic or and not real, surreal sort of ways of writing. Then you classify them as that way. Right? So these are all things that are done looking backwards rather than writing up as a theory and then letting people follow it. So it's more derived from the works that are out there. Right? So that's what that's what I feel strongly. Right? As a culture, it develops and then you try to start making sense of what it is, rather than the other way of writing something and then asking people to follow it.
I think I agree with what Sadiq said. I always think that in society we feel something, we experience something. So this experience could be at physical level. So what we experience, that's what ethnography is. At least in my case, I have written a fiction on Mahabharata. So what had happened thousands of years back is still something that that can touch my heart, and I can be inspired. I can see Draupadi when somebody is standing up for herself and taking a stand, and I can see Rukmini in somebody a simple girl who can follow her dream and can listen to her inner voice. And this is what I feel is that something we can experience starts making sense for us, and then we start thinking about it, and that thought, that idea, that conviction ripples down into our blood and it touches to the bottom of our heart, and there that analysis of something that is happening around us becomes a synthesis, and we can visualize it, we can feel it, and it's being expressed. I think in simple words, this is what writing culture is. When it can come from my heart and it can touch to your heart as reader, it is a writing culture.
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. Okay, coming to writing culture, I would like to say that culture is not something which is stated. We make it over the years, we develop it as right or wrong, then we adapt it. Writing for me, I think for everyone who writes, who is an author, it's a form of art. So you don't need any protocols that have to follow these things and write. Right? So suppose this happens in our country. When we are going to a temple, we just can't wear a hot pant and walk. Even if we are walking, nobody is going to bar us. Right? But we have sensed it as a culture that we shouldn't do this. But writing don't have such bars. You are writing what your heart is saying. So you cannot have any protocols. Our job is to write. It's something that is invoking in us that you should scribble down. And then it's the duty of the readers, or rather the critics, to decide what culture am I hinting at. Then adopt it as it is. Okay? So I think that when we are reading, as readers, when we are choosing some books, we like that book because we are liking the ethnography hinted in the book, or the culture that is forecasted in the book, and we read that book. We wait for the next book that is coming from him or her. So that is our choice, the reader's choice how we take it, not the writer's job to think that what am I writing, how will that be accepted. If we think about what the other side, the ones who will read the book, how will they accept it and start writing, we are not writing what we are feeling, we are writing what they want. So I believe that yes, there are standards we can ascribe to our, when we write, our ethnography, our culture reflects. If you see I'm from Bengal, so I will obviously talk about Rabindranath Tagore. So if you read him, obviously you will understand some of the Bengali culture. It's there, you can smell it, if I can use this term. So it comes, it automatically comes. We don't need to input anything. So this is something that comes naturally, and it's the reader's choice how they take it.
Beautifully said by Priyanka, like our ethnography and our background does come out into the writing. I had another question. For example, if we have an author who writes about mysteries or there's an author who writes about horror stories. So have you seen versatile authors like who do really good in horror or in romance or any other topic? Or do you see a pattern, like if a person is writing about horror, so the books are continuously in horror, so have you noticed a pattern, or do you think can be continuous?
So, we have enough examples where authors have written multiple genres. Even, for example, if you take J.K. Rowling, she's famous because of Harry Potter. But one thing that she's done is she's taken other pen names to write detective novels, and then also other serious topics. So sometimes you have a brand which gets associated with a certain way of writing. So which means you are essentially trying to set the expectations of your audience, because that's the brand, that's what they want to see. But then as a writer, they are always versatile and they can think and write about other subjects as well. So many of them are forced to write under different names, right? Even though they may be the same people, right? They take a different pen name and do that. If you take horror, Stephen King, right? So he writes horror, but then he's written the original book of Shawshank Redemption, right? Rita Hayworth book on that. So that's a completely different subject. So it's essentially as a creative person. And horror is not something that, for example, horror, it's not something that you have experienced, right? It is something about, it's a completely imaginary sort of thing. So it cannot become somebody's only identity, right? So, but then if somebody writes more biographies or something, or their inner feelings and things like that, maybe that's a sort of a limitation. Maybe that person is putting together saying, only what I feel I write. Right? So that's a kind of boundary. But then when you are writing about something that is very external, and then if you are able to write about that, then I'm sure you'll be able to write about something else as well. Unless you are worried about your commercial constraints, saying, okay, if I'm J.K. Rowling, I have to write only Harry Potter. If I write something else, maybe that brand will get diluted. If you don't have that kind of compulsion, when you're writing about something that is something that's theoretical or external, you can write about multiple topics.
I have written a book on Mahabharata, and I believe that Mahabharata is a holistic Indian epic that we have ever read. And it is said that Vyasa Chishtam Jagat Sarvam, means everything that exists in this world is included in Mahabharata. And if we, so somebody who has written such a holistic book, if we throw light on Maharshi Vyas as author, I think he will give us best example of writing culture. So I think that in writing culture we will have four. Writing is an expression. So the most ancient treatise that has influenced our literature is Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, and he has given us four pillars: Angi, Vachi, Aharya, and Satvi. So if we, from writing perspective, if we look at all these things, so Angik means the character, his action, his thoughts, his emotions. Vachik means the conversation, the discussion that goes on. And Aharya means everything around that makes a backdrop for that story. And if we look at Mahabharata, we will be surprised that there is such a vast canvas that has been used to tell one story. A story is simple war happening between cousins. But it is such a beautiful thing that it gives us beautiful backdrop, and it gives us all the perspective from the ground to the skies. And I think this is something we as an author should learn about, that how to set up backdrop. It is such a beautifully described, and I think that if we read that and if we get inspired by that, I think the question of writing about particular genre will not arise. It will intersect naturally, because everything that happens around us makes sense for us, and therefore, whatever touches to our heart, I think we should put it in our words.
Okay, coming to the versatility of writing, I think personally that it is the influence. We get influenced of it. That okay, I am liking the horror stories more. What if I write something? I'm feeling it. See, as an author, what I have experienced myself is whatever I'm feeling, I'm writing down. So suppose some people are very they love fun. They like to make people laugh. So they are opting to write comedies. What's wrong in that? They are making people laugh. So it's okay. So I think versatility is there, and it's not necessary that if I am writing about sentiments and emotions and women empowerment as I have written in my book, it is not again a standard that I have to write on that only. Nobody has given me any boundaries. If someone is doing that, he or she must have those foundations probably, or maybe they are getting paid for it. This also happens that that is their job. So when you are writing, it's only about you, whether whatever you choose to write, be it horror, be it comedy, be it sentimental, and you have a huge population. There are many people have many choices. Some will like today the movie is quite funny. Then you will not go with friends on your birthday to see a very sentimental movie. And movies come from stories. You will go and have fun time entertainment movies, right? So this is the thing we give to the audience, and it is their choice which one they will grab. And when they are emotionally down, they would opt for this kind of stories or poems. Like I have written regarding women empowerment, and those are all poetries, but very much what to say, it hits you. Okay, it goes beyond restrictions that we women have in our country mostly. So when I gave it to the audience, I was obstructed. Even from my family that okay, you have written, don't release it. You don't know how the society will, what return you will get. And then I thought, okay, this is not what I wrote for. I need to release this because I don't want these women or these girls to suffer what I have suffered from. That's why I wanted to release it. Now, when after days, when these girls and women are coming back, that you have become our voice, this is my award, this is my achievement. So it's the reader's choice what mood they are in and what they want and what is that influences them. So they can do it.
So we spoke about how the writing culture is about influence or what we are feeling. But what would you suggest a new author, like somebody who is beginning into this journey and who is really confused about what genre they should choose? So do you have any things to consider when you are choosing a specific genre or topic that we should go ahead with as an author?
So, whenever somebody becomes an author, wants to write, typically you've lived a certain amount of life. Right? It's not like you're born and then you're 5 years old, you start writing. So, you would have already gravitated towards certain things which have evoked your interest. Like, for example, for me, the sport of cricket was something that has always captivated me, and I've written, discussed, and a number of debates and fights with our friends. So you already are gravitating towards certain topics, right? So typically, what is it that particular thing in which you are always interested, you're never bored? That could be the first place in which you could choose, right? So you choose, maybe I chose cricket as my first topic to write a book on. So that's your topic, and then your surroundings is something that what you lived in, right? you cannot base your story on a city in which you have not lived. So the easiest thing is if you grew up in Calcutta, you write, base the story in that particular area so that you can bring out the actual local interactions, how they interact and how this subject that you have chosen forms a part of that particular society or surrounding. So you take that surrounding. Similarly, I base all my stories on Chennai because that's where I grew up. And also the people and the way they talk, it's very similar to the way I grew up, right? So because that's comfortable, right? That's how we do. For example, Ruskin Bond, he writes about Dehradun and the Missouri and that area. Because that's what he's grown up in and he identifies himself with, and that will bring your best. That doesn't mean you can't write about something else, but then that feel will not be there. Or you choose something like somebody like R.K. Narayan, who created a completely a village of his own, which is not a reality, even though it's based on maybe Mysore and some of those areas nearby. But he created the whole thing on his own, and then he becomes the god and master of that particular village. And every character is his own, need not be a real character. So you could base those surroundings, and then ultimately after that you need to have the right education, editors, publishers. Those are all the other words that gets in to make your theme better. But at least in terms of the two major things that I would think is first, what is your inspiration that has always inspired you and you write about it? Because many discussions, many debates would have had it on that particular topic. And then the surroundings, keep it closer to what you grew up in so that it's easier for you to sort of place the subject. Because you already have interacted with the surrounding on that particular subject.
Yes, I think so. In my case, I was always, as a young girl, I was always inspired by mythology stories, and I used to read them. And then I wanted to bring them alive in a performing art form, and that's how I started writing about them. And while I was writing, I used to travel in local train between office and my home, and I then started talking about people, about my characters that I was writing about. Those were Draupadi, Satyavati, Gandhari, Rukmini, Kunti. So those are characters from mythology. Those are women of Mahabharata. However, when I was talking to my colleagues who used to travel in local train, they used to share with me how they could closely correlate with these characters and their stories, and somewhere in their own stories I could find Draupadi, I could find Satyavati, I could find Rukmini, and then I think those characters actually started talking to me, and then it formed a story. So it flowed. So as a reader, I used to analyze those characters. But when I started talking with these women who are representative of these women characters, it became a synthesis. It became a story, and it flowed. It has flown into my writing. I think this is what inspires. What happens around you inspires us to write, and I think there we should follow our heart. And as an author, you are not putting words, you are writing voices, and I could hear those voices around me, and they started making sense for me.
Okay. To the budding authors, the first thing I would like to know is whether you want to be an author or you want to be famous. First you have to decide that. Okay. Then next thing is whether you want to express or you want to impress. Okay. These things you have to keep in mind when you are getting down something. If you are very much entitled to impressing others and write what the society demands from you, then you are not a true author. Okay? And when you are thinking about what are the benefits I will get, when I wrote down my book, I had no idea that I will be sitting in Yatha Katha International Film Festival. I had no intentions, I had no dreams. I wrote because I wanted women to read and get inspired and not face what I have faced. So this is your story, your lookout, you spread it out. You need not think what will happen, how the society will take, what platforms will I get. So when pursuing my master's. There I had sociology as my subject. So there I read about one anthropologist, Branham. He said that men are born to act and not just to think. So when the thought has come, you just can't sit back and have a sip of coffee and think what I could have done. You have to act. It has already come. So those, as you said that there are many budding authors, so they know they are budding authors and they need to write. It will come here from the heart. It will directly come here. You have to pen it down. And if it has come, don't restrict yourself. That's the only suggestion I can give. If it has come, write it down. There are many who will not accept it and give you negative vibes that what will happen writing all these things, who will read. But that should stop you. You have to do what the soul wants from you. And there are many people, those who are good readers, those who can connect, they will definitely read your piece. So keep writing.
Hello. So, Priyanka, we'll start from you. So, as we discussed that what we write down, what comes to your mind, what we are influenced, we write it down, and that's what a writer is. But still, for the new writers, there must be some things which a writer should have. There must be something that a writer must have to write something or write a book or become express themselves fully. So, what do you think some of the basic conditions that a writer must have to?
See, for this is a very vast question, and I am not asking one to sit here and give lectures on big notes. Okay, so what I will tell what I have experienced. You need to have good vocabulary. Okay, when you don't know proper words, all the people sitting here and outside this have thoughts. Okay, we are sensible beings. We have thoughts, but we all don't write, right? So those who are writing, they must have a good vocabulary. We are giving. See, when I am writing about women, I of course came across many women, their stories, but they are not writing, but they are telling me their stories. So I am giving words through their thoughts. So vocabulary is very important, be it of any language. Another thing I think is reading is a must habit we should have. Be it newspapers, be it any novel, be it whatever, you must have this practice of reading if you really want to do writing. Even it can be the social media status. Keep reading, okay? Just don't, when you see a lengthy thing written down, don't just scroll that up. Read. You will definitely get something from it. Another thing is, if you get time, write down. When your passion is to write, when you know that all you seek is to write, then keep this habit of writing down. Practice with writing words if you want, if you are writing poetry. Practice with small paragraphs, small essays, what you have. Suppose you have experienced something very different in a day of your life. So come home and write that down. So gradually you will find this development within you. I had started writing when I was in class 5, barely. So I have that diary till now with me where I had written all nonsense, if I can tell that way. But when I turn the pages, I have seen my evolution. So today I am sitting here giving lectures on this. How? Because I have not left the practice. It came, I kept writing. So this mind and the pen or the scribbles, they have come to a point where they have formed a beautiful relationship and thus you have accepted me this way.
No, yes, उनके पास है.
I think when we write, the most important thing is what story we have, what thought we have, and how we put it down, that thought. So we need a backdrop, a strong backdrop to portray our characters. So backdrop, I think our Indian literature has beautiful examples of how beautifully a backdrop could be set up. So I'm writer on Mahabharata. So I will give you example that in Mahabharata the backdrop is such a beautifully explained that you can even trace those things even after thousands of years. So it has beautiful description from ground to sky. So it has given a beautiful description of the position of stars, and astrologers can back calculate it and can make a judgment that how many years back these things could have happened. It has beautiful description of even a river flowing into that particular region, and reading that description you can see how many years back what was the exact geographical location. I think that backdrop speaks more for us. So as an author, it is very important for us to set up a strong backdrop of our story. And that backdrop, because reader will read your story in the context of your backdrop. So it is very important how you set up your backdrop. Then the next thing is your character. So what is character? Character is made up of three things: thoughts, actions, and emotions. And how you express the thoughts of characters, how you demonstrate the actions of your character, and does your character speak the emotions, maybe even the silence could be an action. And how beautifully you can set up all this context will make your story. For writing those, first thing is you as an author should be able to visualize when you can visualize it, when you can as an author can feel it, then only I think you can express it. And then the same thing will happen when that readers would be able to connect with your stories. If you as an author can visualize your story while reading, your readers would also be able to visualize those things. If you have strong inner feelings and those feelings flow into your writing, even readers can, while reading, can feel it, can visualize what you have written. And I think that brings connection of mind, and what is in your heart, what flows from your heart can reach to the heart of readers. So it is very important that as an author, how you set a backdrop of your story, how you build your characters, and how well you as an author can visualize and feel, how strongly you could feel, that will make your story expressive. Because after all, art is an expression. And literature is also a platform for expressing your story. And I think if somebody is writing, we should keep all these things in our mind.
So I agree with what Shruti is saying. See, when you look at any form of creation, even top scientists like Einstein, he said, if you can imagine, then you can make it happen. Right? So imagination, which Shruti said is visualization, which is a gift that we have as human beings, which separates us from the other forms of life within the planet. So if you can imagine, learn to imagine what that story or whatever that you want to think about, and visualize that and see how that will flow, right? Adding one after the other in terms of scenes that you have in your mind. Then converting that into words is the easier step, right? So it is essentially the imagination which if you have the ability, like for example, when I write, it takes me, for example, I write a lot of these articles. It takes me 15 minutes to write. That's about all it takes. But it takes me 3-4 hours of imagination, right? That's not what people see. What they see is, oh, how can you write an article in 15 minutes? Maybe you took 3 hours to write. No, it's not. The process is essentially started much longer. When I'm watching a cricket match, I'm already thinking and I'm already visualizing what I'm going to write. So when I convert that into that particular article of 1,500 words, it's the final act of that imagination which has got converted into this. So you have to imagine the scenes. Right? If you're writing fiction, for example, non-fiction is Non-fiction is based on subjects on experience. Right? If you're a scientist, you decide for a certain methodology, then you write about it. So those are all based on something concrete that is available. But when you're talking about fiction, it is by word it is fiction, right? It's not real. So you have to imagine. So you have to imagine and then visualize those scenes and convert those visualized scenes into words. Right? Then it becomes easier. So that has to be the step. So just blindly going and writing something is not the right way to do, and you can't even do it. You can't, if suddenly give me a topic and ask me to write, I will not be able to do it. You have to sit and marinate on it, think about it, imagine, and then add some characters, and then make it into some kind of a movie, visual movie, and then that converts into words, vocabulary, and things of that kind. You can even work on it. Right? These are all things that can be acquired. There are people who can convert your visual words into actual written words as well. Right? The imagination is the one that sets you apart from an author. Writing and things can even, you have so many people who are ghost writing for various authors, right? So they give you the idea and then somebody else is writing it. So the idea is the critical part of here, the visualization, the imagination that has gone into the author or the creator, any creator for that matter. That's the differentiator. That's where you are a creator. Then after that, giving life to that can be even outsourced. That's how it is.
So this is one question that we have been asking all the authors. So what is a successful author according to you?
See, whenever we want to talk about success, there are two ways you have to look at it. Right? One is an emotional and internal kind of a metric. Whenever I say, okay, how tall are you? You have to express that in certain feet and inches, so that other people can understand. So in here, success as an author, there are two ways to do it. One is a hard metric, which is how much you sold, how much of profit you made for a publisher, how much of royalty that you got out of that. Right? So that is a hardcore metric, and there is truth to that. Right? It's not like forget about the other maybe people are pushing their sales through some wrong ways and all. I'm not including that. But when somebody buys a book with their money and then recommends it to somebody else, and that starts another set of people buying it, then there is reality to it, right? That is a determination that this particular book has connected with that person, and that person has willingly put in his own money to buy it, right? So ultimately, I'm putting a skin into that whole thing. I'm not just giving some, I put in money and I've taken it, so I spent some money on it. So that's one part. The other is, obviously, in your own way, if you think whatever you wanted to bring out into the world, if you created that, then that's an internal metric that you could have, right? And then say, okay, this is what I wanted to paint as a picture, and I am able to visualize that. Maybe the other person is not able to see. Maybe that's because the perspectives are different. But I find it very unlikely that you would be the only person to like the book. Very unlikely. There will be somebody out there who would connect with you in that sort of a wavelength in which you have written. Maybe it's a process that you want to find that particular audience, so which essentially is really the game in terms of identifying that particular group of people who identify with you, and then forming that bond and connection. So that comes through writing multiple books. Sometimes somebody like a Chetan Bhagat, he writes a book and immediately formed his niche, right? Young college-going graduates who've seen college and not beyond that, and then have very limited sort of reading as a hobby. They're just starters. So you identify and then you write according to that particular audience. Very rare. Many people have to go through multiple iterations and then identify. So then that becomes your success. If you're able to convey your thoughts and they are able to read and buy it, then that's a success. Otherwise, you can go by conventional way of looking at how much you sold, then that becomes your success. It's a very straightforward method.
I agree. I think your book is your platform to connect with minds, and if you are able to connect with the mind of reader, I think then what you are writing is making sense to the reader. And if what thought you are putting in, or what voices you are putting in, if reader can find some inspiration out of that, if that readers can also imagine, like Satish said, if readers can visualize what you are trying to portray, if readers can feel what you are feeling, and if readers can connect to your thoughts as an author through your book, I think what you are writing is flowing to the hearts of your readers, and that is the most important thing. I think that as an author we should look forward. the women about whom I have written, these stories have happened thousands of years back. But readers come back and tell me that I get inspired by your voice of Rukmini. I can find my inspiration of fighting my battle of life through Draupadi. I can stand out and I can take a stand like Satyavati. I think that is a success because through your writing you are making differences to the life, and making difference to someone's life is I think the greatest blessings of God.
Actually, I have nothing much to tell after both of them. Of course, it is a practical side, and this is life. We have to earn. We have invested, so that is one side of it. That it is financial things and all. It depends on how much we are saying. But that is a different aspect to it. But what success I believe all the authors get is when the readers are coming back to us. How they got inspired, as she said, how they are taking your writing into their life and working on those. So this thing, how you are being able to give anything positive to the society, and is it helping anyone out of the whole? So if it's doing that, yes, I believe that there lies my success and awards as well. I personally take all those small messages which I get from my readers as my award. I will tell you one thing, as you know that I am an educator and I always have kids around me. So there was one mother who came to one parent teacher meeting, and she said, "Ma'am, I read your book." So that's okay, that's nice. She said that I always had this passion of dance, but since I am very much hipped up in work and household chores, I never thought about that. But after reading your book, I thought, why shouldn't I give a chance? If I wish, I can. And she is doing her dance classes, and this, I myself feel that, okay, this is where my success lies.
Hello, that was such a beautiful thing to hear. So thank you all. We had a great discussion. We had really good inputs on how our writing culture is influenced by our background, our places we lived, the people around us, and the influence around us. Do we have any questions from the audience? Anybody would like to ask? No, please. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us. We had a really good discussion. I really loved it. I would now like to invite Chavan